videos about what to do on a rainy day or when you're sick and you're recovering to work on your basketball game. So obviously you're in an indoor setting. You can't dribble the ball because it makes too much noise. And so one of the things you can do is utilize the chair to simulate a defender. And we're going to use a pillow to simulate the ball. And we're going to work on moving without the basketball. Okay. In particular, what we're going to work on is face cuts. How to do a face cut. One of the benefits of working on how to move without the basketball is a more efficient way of training. So when you have the ball, if you work with handles, right, you're working on your handle all the time. You're working on like going in between your legs, attacking back dribble to a step back. That amount of dribbling and ball handling and quick movement requires a good amount of energy being used. And over time in a game, if you're having to use that type of energy to get shots off, you're going to wear out and you're going to be tired in the fourth quarter. So what you want to do is you also want to develop other ways of scoring where you're not using as much energy to get buckets. And so the most efficient way to do that is moving without the basket. A couple of defensive fundamentals, given that this is our defender, right? When the pass is made, so we'll be passing that way. We're going to face cut in front of the defender this way. When we pass the ball, defense, man-to-man defense, usually do two things. The first thing they can do is they could jump to the gap, right? So they drop and they jump to the gap. This is something that they'll do in a gapping defense or a pack line defense. And what they want to do is they want to clog the middle and they want to make sure that you don't beat them on a cut. They'll allow this pass back out, but they don't want to allow any sort of penetration, either through dribble penetration or through attacking with cutting. The other thing they can do is once this pass is made is they jump to the ball and they get into the passing lane. So now they're denying. Okay. So in both instances, what they're going to do is essentially they're going to move towards the ball. Now, the other thing to consider is if you're a good shooter, they're going to play you closer. If you're not a good shooter, what they might do is give you space and allow you to take this shot. So if they play you closer, the closer that you are to the man that's guarding you, the less reaction time they have. The further away that you are from the man that's guarding you, the more reaction time that they have. So face cutting or back cutting could be difficult to do if the player is giving you a lot of space. Doesn't mean it can't be done. It becomes more challenging if they're giving you more space. It could be easier to do if they are not giving you much space and they're up on you and that recovery time is limited. So there are two ways that you can do the face cut. All right, well, we'll do the setup way. The first way is the setup. So to set this up, what we're going to use is screen away. Okay, so we pass the ball, right, and we screen away. So we want to sell the screen, right? So what you want to do if you're going to set the screen is act like you're going to set the screen. Actually, you're going to set the screen, and what you're going to do is call your player's name, all right, Mike, Tony, Sarah, whatever the player that you are going to set the screen, right? Signal that to them, verbalize it to them, and then you're going to move in that direction, and you're going to set the screen, right? So you're going to move that way. What that's going to cause is it creates a habit, right? A tendency. So if you do this 2 or 3 times, this defender is going to then, when they see that action, they're going to infer or conclude that what you're going to do is you're going to set a screen, right? So one of the things you want to do on a rainy day or on a day where you're recovering from being sick is actually practice on your screening action, right? Making that pass, walking over, right? Calling the players, walking over, Michael, Sarah, Tony, whatever, walking over and setting that screen. All right, set the screen how your coach wants you to set it, whether it's here or here, right? Make sure that if you're doing this, you're not extending. All right, what we like to do was set screens like this because it prevented those arm extending out, and that could be a foul, and we don't want to pick up a stupid foul. When you set that screen, what they're going to do is they're going to jump to the ball, right? They're going to jump to the ball. And so as you start moving, they're going to start shifting with you, right? Because as you move away from the ball, they start to shift and move away from the ball. Okay. What you want to do though is look to see if they don't jump. So if you pass and they jump up, they don't jump and they stay because they assume you're going to go here. You call it out like you're going to do it. They stay, right? So now what you're going to do is you're going to face cut. You're going to come back, turn your hips, right, and your back foot, right, left foot is going to come over, and what you want to do is be in front of their outside foot or the foot closest to the man with the ball. All right. What this does is now you seal them, right? You seal them with your hip, right? And so now you can slide through, and you can go, and now you face cut. Now if you get the ball here, they're on the inside. You can go, you can finish at the rim, you can shoot your floater, you can do whatever, right? So again, pass, Tony, Sarah, they stay there, boom, big step, and now you're here. Again, the key thing here is this foot has to beat them here. The second way that you can do this is by just beating them to that spot. All right, now you can do this, and you're going to have a higher success rate if you have a jump shot and they have to be up on you and not give you any space when you have the ball. The tighter they are on you, the less likely they are to recover. That works to your advantage. So if they're playing you close and they don't want to leave you alone, right? What you do is you want to beat them to that spot. Same thing. This foot is going to come over, all right? You want to come over, be here, right? But you can now push them with your shoulder if they come down. All right, you have your shoulder here, and you're claiming this space. So again, I'll pass. Now I'm passing with the intent to beat them to that spot as soon as I pass the ball. Here, right? There's really not much of a setup. So pass, I take a step, thumbs down, and then I come over. All right, don't let them beat you to this spot. All right, don't let them jump to the ball. So you're looking for that delay in their reaction to make that cut. All right, now what are the benefits of a face cut instead of a back cut? All right, one of the problems with the back cut is it tends to drift you away from the man with the ball. So if I back cut here, all right, what I could do, let me move the chair here a little bit so you can see me. If I decide to back cut, I can take a wider angle, and now as I come down the court, I start to shade this way, right? As I'm shading that way, I'm extending the length of that pass, right? And so any sort of contact, any sort of push, you might have someone bump you, anything can throw you off your line and start forcing you to go away, all right, from this direct line. So if you're going to practice back cuts, you want to back cut and you want to come here, right? You don't want to drift. Right? When you face cut, you don't have to worry about that because you are cutting in front of them, right? So the advantage here is you're going to naturally close the gap between the man with the ball and you, making that pass shorter and increasing the success rate of that pass. The other advantage of face cutting over a back cut, once you back cut, right, typically you want to empty out. You want to go opposite of where the ball is. Sometimes they have you go to that corner depending on the offense, right? Depending on the spacing. But usually like the cut is just the cut. If you're open on that, you know, in that window, then that's it. You get it. If you don't get it, then you're probably going one way or the other. You might go to that corner and you might get that shot. But usually the action is like just one-off action and then that's it, especially if they have you go weak side. The advantage of a face cut, right, regardless of size, and this also is very beneficial if you're a shorter player, is now you can post up. So you pass, you're here. If you don't get it here, now you can go into the post right here and you can post up. So you might think, you know, posting up for a guard is not something that is common in modern basketball. It's not. But that means that it's an advantage to you because what happens is defenses really don't practice defending the post with smaller players. It's not something that they do. They design their defensive philosophy with protecting dribble penetration, right? So if you're a player that develops these skill sets, right? If you give your coach the ability to provide other options to their offense that they might not have thought of in terms of like being able to face cut, being able to post up, and then develop some sort of post moves. What that does is it allows your team to get paint touches, right? Now, you might be really good at breaking teams down off the dribble, and that's great. But there's going to come a point in time where there's going to be a defender or a team that's just more physical, more athletic, or just more defensive fundamental. Their defensive fundamentals are just, you know, are superior, and getting dribble penetration and getting paint touches is difficult to do. In those instances, what you can then do is being able to post up and being able to get the ball thrown in there. It's very beneficial because it forces the defense to collapse, and it forces you, it gives you the opportunity to get paint touches, right? So by working on the face cut and then becoming very good at achieving that cut and getting the ball, you can now start developing other skill sets. Like if you don't get it right away, posting up and developing somewhat of a low post move, whether it's space facing up or developing a fadeaway jump shot or whatever. And all of those things eventually are going to give your offense more flexibility, create more efficiency, make you a much better player, and give your coach a lot more options than they typically would have, right? And so that's why I believe that, even in today's modern basketball where it's a lot of spacing and the emphasis is on 3-point shots, and obviously having a guard post up might not be seen from an analytical perspective as the most efficient shot to be taken, right? There are times where the efficiency in the math just doesn't matter. You just need to be able to get the ball into the paint so you can get the team to collapse and you can kick that ball out and you can then generate those shots that are more mathematically advantageous. And so having that skill set is a way of generating or creating a solution that otherwise might not be there if you don't develop that skill set. So again, this is something you can do, 20 minutes at night in the kitchen or in the living room or in a space like this or in your bedroom. You don't need a lot. I don't even have, shoes on. You can just use a chair. And again, you don't have to go through it hard. You just have to give yourself those reps of going and setting the screen, of going and cutting, and just being conscientious of what foot has to cut where and what are you looking for. And just give yourself those reps. And then once you start playing, or once you go out and you play, try to practice those things when you play pickup ball, right? Instead of just wanting the ball all the time, just have pickup sessions where you're like, okay, today I'm just going to pass the ball and I'm just going to work on my off ball movements or my face cuts, my back cuts, my replacing myself, all those things that you develop. You want to develop those skill sets in your pickup game. And so that's going to make you a much better player. But working on these things, it gives you those points that just quietly kill teams, right? It forces teams to be really fundamentally sound in terms of defending you at every single second that you are on the court. So you are just enough as a threat without the ball as you are with the ball. And that really puts a lot of stress on the defense and it creates opportunities for everybody else. And so that I think that is something that, all players, regardless of size, should be working on. Follow, like, if you want to see more of this. Feel free to comment if you have any feedback or any questions. Thank you.